Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outliers YouTube channel and our program, Get to Know. I'm your host, DP Lyle, and I'm here with my cohort in crime, Kathleen Antrim.
Thanks, Doug. It is great to be here. And today we've got a great interview for you. She's written a couple of series. Boy, I mean, her track record goes back about 20 years, best-selling author. Tracy, welcome to Get to Know.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you guys.
Well, this is so fun. And I want to go back a little bit. As our viewers know, I like to talk about your childhood.
Oh,
And I'd love to know if you feel that your childhood factored into you becoming a writer. Did you have imaginary friends? Were you introverted, extroverted? Tell us.
well, I was both actually. I was super extroverted, but also very solitary. I'm an only child, and all I wanted to do for the time I can remember is be alone and go outside and walk around the yard and write stories. That's what I did from the very get-go. And in fact, PJ and I, my mother and co-writer, actually started writing together when I was about 2 in bedtime. And we ripped through books, and back in the 70s, there just that weren't that many kids books, right? And so she said, Tracy, I have an idea. Why don't we write our own stories and act them out? So she would come up with one line, and I'd come up with another one. It'd be very simplistic, obviously, and then we'd act them out with stuffed animals. And we were like screaming in tears with laughter, forever. And that was essentially my childhood, my relationship with PJ. She was not just a mother, co-writer, but she was my soulmate and best friend. So my father always called us the Xerox twins. Now, we weren't that much alike, but we had enough alike. We're like identical twins that didn't really resemble each other physically that much.
Wow. So at what point did you decide to really pull the trigger and start writing professionally? Give this whole thing a shot as a career.
Well, early on, PJ was an amazing writer. And when I was 7 years old, she published her first short story in the Saturday Evening Post, which was a really, really big deal back then. And
Oh, yeah.
there's a tremendous story about that. She wrote this story from the point of view of a 40-year-old man going through a midlife crisis. Said he has a daughter and a wife, and it was hysterical. So she sent it in, and she waited. Back in the day, you wait in the mail for the rejection or acceptance. She got the rejection and said, thank you, we love it. It's not our sort of material. And PJ was very savvy, and so she waited about 6 months and sent it in under PJ Lambrecht instead of Patricia Lambrecht to the exact same editor. 2 months later, congratulations, Mr. Lambrecht. We love your story and we're going to publish it.
That's great.
Isn't that
funny.
hilarious? But she knew. I mean, there's been a long kind of a prejudice, I think, about women not being able to write certain things, including thrillers or mysteries.
Or
And
40-year-old men.
yeah, right, or 40-year-old men, exactly. And I don't know, but she did it brilliantly. So that was kind of a lesson. And then I always wrote all throughout high school. And then PJ began writing romantic short stories and Harlequin romances. And after college, I graduated with a Russian major, go figure, and a music minor in vocal performance. And all I wanted to do was play in my rock band and buy equipment, new amps, guitars, and go to Europe constantly, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, she said, Tracy, I have so much on my plate right now. I've got deadlines and I've got someone. Why don't we write together? We always have. She was a mentor and we always wrote together. And she's like, I'll split the money with you. I'm like, okay. So right after college, I began writing professionally. The short stories. We wrote 7 Harlequins together. And you can only imagine what it's like sitting across from your mother at the desk writing a love scene.
That would be tough. That
Well,
would be really tough. Yeah,
well,
those bodice rippers, right?
well, they weren't, they weren't explicit. They were really bad, but still, it's kind of fun. But we are always, just in gales of laughter because what else are you gonna do? And then we got burned out on that tack because it was very limiting. They wanted a protagonist and an antagonist and no more. And it was boy meets girl, they fall in love, they have conflict, then it's happily ever after. And we decided to take a big chance and take a full year off and live off of our savings and write a book that we really wanted to read, populated with amazing characters that you'd like to hang out with at a dinner party. And that's how Monkeewrench came about.
But
Wow.
that's that. I think that's when we met. I mentioned this earlier. Back when you guys were just getting, it's got to be a couple of decades ago
Yeah,
at a
21
conference
years.
somewhere, and you got either Monkeewrench was coming out or had just come out. So how did you dream up that whole series, which has had long legs? I mean, it's moved through the years. Uh,
Yeah.
how many books are in that series, and how did y'all come up with all that?
Well, there are 10 books in the series now, and the 11th book will be coming out this September 9th. So it's 11 series or 11 book
Wow.
series so far. But I think PJ and I just had so much that we wanted to write about, and we wanted it to be exciting. And our theory was always if we're having fun writing it, people are going to have fun reading it. And I think, part of the limitations of having a limited characters and the romance genre, we kind of went wild. We're like, all right, we're going to have like 12 main characters. So we have the cyber geeks of the Monkeewrench gang and the cops, and we bring in cops from Wisconsin sometimes. And there's always a tertiary characters in every book. And so we just had fun with it. And we've always loved mystery. Who doesn't love solving puzzles and suspense? And so that's the genesis of it. And really, well, the early genesis was bedtime, but
And so the
Oh,
11th, and that's coming out, and that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Because that's been a series that's been around for a while, and it's very clever. But you have another series too, the Margaret Nolan mysteries.
Right.
I think this one right here was number 3 in the series. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep,
Yeah,
correct.
great cover. Great cover.
I
it's really
love their
pretty.
covers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's got great perspective. And then you have number 4 in the series that just came out, correct?
Right. City of Secrets.
Another
Yeah.
great cover.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
I, lo-
did.
I love the broken rear view mirror. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They've done a great job. I mean, the first two, Deep into the Dark and Desolation Canyon, have equally amazing covers. I mean, I was just thrilled with all of them. They're very moody and evocative and very LA.
But this one came
Yeah.
out just a few months ago. Tell us about this series, what it's all about and how you came up with this, and are there any more coming, that kind of thing.
Oh, yes. Well, after PJ had passed, I wrote two more Monkeewrench novels. And she writing is my enduring tether to PJ. So, it just made sense. I kept her writing. She's always right there on my shoulder. But after the second one without her, it started to feel lonely. And I had just recently moved back from 10 years in Los Angeles. And you all know it's embedded in, every writer's DNA to be a sponge and absorb things. So I had all these observations and crazy experiences, and they just started clamoring to get out. And that's how I started the series. And Margaret Nolan is the main character. She is a female detective in the very elite homicide special section in LA. And she is kind of trying to navigate her way in the old boys network. And she's a wonderful character. She's had some tragedy in her past, but she's tough, but she's so empathetic, and she's humorous, and she was the main character, but the other main character is Sam Easton, who is the Afghanistan war vet who was badly disfigured facially in an IED explosion. And as Deep in the Dark opens, he is struggling with tremendous PTSD. He doesn't know what's real, what's not, what's real, what's not. And he's literally emotionally crumbling. And suddenly becomes a murder suspect in the killing of his soon-to-be ex-wife. And Margaret Nolan's on the job, and they come together and they forge a really unique relationship and a wonderful one. I felt that arcs throughout the series, and I loved writing about it. And LA is just, I mean, it's rife with opportunities to exploit.
Do you have another in this series in the works?
Not right now. Not right now. I took a break from that because I wasn't quite done with Monkeewrench, and people were, all I heard was, we love the new series, but when is another Monkeewrench book coming out? And, I thought, well, people want to read it. I'll write one. And it was really fun to get back with the gang, but I'd say it was more difficult than I thought making the shift. I was in LA for 4 books, and then I'm back in Minneapolis, and it was an adjustment, but once I started writing, it was really, really fun.
So what's your process? Are you an outliner? Are you a pantser?
I'm definitely a pantser, definitely a pantser. I've never ever been able to outline. PJ and I never did. She never did. And I come up with a concept, usually a high concept. The book will focus around that, and then I have the characters, and everything else just happens. When I write, I never know what's going to happen chapter per chapter. I may have an idea of what a character is going to do or experience, but half the time it just totally changes, in flight. And that's the kind of spontaneity I love about writing, because every morning it's like Christmas morning, because I get up and I can't wait to see what I did last night when I was half delirious, and then move on from there. So it's always exciting. And I always figure if I don't really know what's going to happen in the book, the reader won't either.
That's a very good point. Absolutely.
That's interesting. We did an interview, I forget the other day. We were talking about Casablanca, and I mentioned that Casablanca only Bogart had the script,
Oh,
the complete
really?
script, and that was in his contract. This is what I understand from Robert McKee, the great script doctor.
Yeah.
And he said he demanded to know the whole script, but none of the other actors did.
Oh,
They got all of their pages the night before that they were going to
oh,
shoot the next day,
oh.
and they would do their study and all that, and then come in. He did not want any of the actors to know what was coming next. He wanted them to play in the moment.
Oh,
Wow. I mean, and that's kind of like a reader. A reader is playing in the moment.
yeah,
And
right.
so I'm a pantser too, and I like that because, ooh, what's going to happen next? You probably, like me, you have the next 3 or 4 or 5 scenes in your head.
I do, yeah.
You know where this little segment is going,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes it jumps the rails about
Right.
after 2 scenes, or not at the end. You don't know what's coming next, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. How about you, Kathleen?
I have always been an outliner,
Oh,
but
good for you. I wish I could be.
I'm not sure if it's a good thing. My outlines though were like first drafts almost.
Okay.
In a way, it's the same kind of thing, right?
Right.
You
Well, I
gotta
mean, if you're
figure
doing
out
an
what's gonna
outline
happen
that's
that day.
really
Yeah.
first draft, you're kind of
Yeah.
a pantser.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just at an event in Chicago, and I heard a term I'd never heard before. And it's a person who is half pantser, half outliner, and they call them tadpoles.
Ted,
tadpoles? Like as in like the frog?
I have no idea. I was too embarrassed to ask. I felt like an idiot for not knowing what it was or had ever heard of it.
So, yeah,
I'm afraid I don't get the reference, so it doesn't make sense to me.
Is it like, the old-fashioned tents that form an
Oh,
A-frame?
a tent pole.
Oh.
Tent pole,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you
I
said
was
tadpole. I was
That's what
thinking,
I thought too.
what?
I thought it was tent
Okay.
pole like a baby frog. And I'm like,
Okay.
That's even better. I like that better. But yeah, tent pole. Sorry, I wasn't
got it.
No,
enunciating.
no. That's funny. That is funny.
Yeah, interesting.
So what's next for you? I mean, obviously you have the 11th Monkeewrench coming out in a few months, but what are you working on now? What's gonna hit after that?
I am working on so many things right now. After doing 8 books in 8 years, I knew that I had to take a break and recharge because I felt like somebody pulled the plug on my creativity. And so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna take a little rest, do some other fun things like this. Hopefully do some mentoring and teaching as well, which I love to do. And then write a kind of a standalone, maybe a new series. So I probably have about 100 pages of just notes and ideas and vignettes for like 5 different books. So I'm usually not that disorganized, but one of the canons for me of writing is that have fun. Because if you're not having fun, it's not going to work. So I'm having fun in a very disorganized fashion. So, we'll see what comes of that. But I just thought, we all need a brain rest.
Yeah, yeah. What about short stories? Are you writing any short stories now, or are you?
I have not written short stories in over 20 years.
Yeah,
I think short stories are actually way more difficult to write than novels. I mean,
yeah,
I really, really do. I don't feel that I could do it well anymore, because I've been a novelist for so long. However, I am amassing tons of short stories and novels. I have the rights back to an historical romances. And I think what I'm going to do is I think Amazon has something now at like Substack where authors can just publish things that have never been published. And I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to do, just because reflecting on the entire anthology, anything, as can give you an idea as where to go.
sure.
So it's just fun going back in the past, and memories suddenly appear that have been buried for decades, and it's just yeah, it's really, I enjoy it. It's so fun.
so let us know where we can get your books and where we can learn more about you.
Okay, well, go on pjtracey.com. There are all the books of the Monkeewrench series and Detective Margaret Nolan with 5 links about me, reviews, little facts, and I'm just about to post some interviews and essays up there. So I kind of add to it all the time. It's available anywhere you buy books. They're all available as ebooks or audiobooks. So Amazon, or preferably your local, support your local indie bookstores, or you can get them anywhere. And believe it or not, Monkeewrench is 22 years this old, and
Wow,
they're all still in print.
Wow.
So you can,
That's admirable.
yeah,
That's
you can still
amazing.
get them on
Yeah,
Amazon or bookstores. So
very fun.
cool.
yeah.
And I want to remind our viewers to please click the thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithms and gets our interviews out to people. And subscribe. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe. It's free. Just click that little button and you won't miss an interview with Get to Know at the Outliers Writing University channel. And Tracy, it was great to have you on. You're a fabulous interview. We've got to have you back as soon as you've got another book coming out or something fun to tell us. That's
I absolutely thank you so much. It was delightful to be with you.
Yeah, we love new books and we love gossip. So
yes.
whatever you want to do, and it's been great having you here. And I knew your mom from back then. What a great lady, and I know you're carrying on the tradition. So Tracy is the daughter, and PJ is the mom, and the series, all the books are PJ Tracey. So go to the website, buy these books, particularly the Monkeewrench series. You will really, really, really love it. So until next time, this has been the Outliers YouTube channel and our program Get to Know. And as you know, we will always be back with other interviews and lots of fun. So until then, keep reading, keep writing, and keep having fun, and try not to get caught.